I mean, I can't even afford to get my nails done, my hair done. It's embarrassing.
Get ready to witness quite possibly the greediest Karen you've ever seen. So it's no secret that in this day and age, it's not uncommon at all to hear about athletes, celebrities, and even people you know in real life getting completely assaulted financially by the court system, unrightfully so. And today we're going to be taking a look at this mom who took her ex-husband to court in order to get some more of that sweet, juicy child support money. And as we're about to see, it backfires on her hard. And of course, this is another episode of one of my favorite shows out there, Support Court with Judge Vonda Bailey.
Okay, Mrs. Williams, you brought this case before the court. What's going on?
Yes, ma'am. We have 3 children together. I have not received any child support from him. Our children go to private school. They play sports, dance lessons, singing lessons. They're very active and it's very expensive. We do share custody and time, but I pay for private school. He pays for health insurance and that's all. I pay for everything else.
What kind of money you make to be paying all of that?
I'm an attorney.
Oh, okay.
But I'm used to a certain lifestyle. I mean, I can't even afford to get my nails done, my hair done. It's embarrassing.
You're an
because
attorney,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
you can afford tuition, but not to get your nails done.
Because all my money's going to the tuition and all of their extracurricular activities. I've been sacrificing the things that I'm used to that I was able to do before when we were still together and we had that combined income. And now all my money's going to the kids and I don't have any money left for the lifestyle that I've been accustomed to and getting my nails done and my hair and massages and things like that.
So far, this woman is actually being a relatively good mom, paying for her kids' tuition and activities and whatnot, which is great. I can't say anything bad about that. But what confuses me immediately is why exactly this woman decided to take her ex-husband to court. I mean, she is chasing child support money here. But as far as I can tell, it doesn't sound like she needs any help paying for things relating to the kids. It sounds like she needs help paying for her and her lifestyle, like getting her hair done, nails, massages, which isn't exactly what you'd consider child support. I mean, this just sounds more like an allowance. Like, what was the logic heading into the courtroom? I'm going to ask for extra child support, but then proceed to complain about how I can't get my hair done anymore. Well, yeah, you're a parent, and being a parent comes with making sacrifices financially. I mean, that's just common sense when it comes to having a kid that you're going to lose out on some luxuries. Immediately, I get the impression that this woman walked into the court and thought this was going to be a slam dunk case for some extra cash. But let's see what happened.
All my money's going to the kids and I don't have any money left for the lifestyle that I've been accustomed to and getting my nails done and my hair and massages and things like that.
It's still not making sense to me. Mr. Williams, make this make sense.
Although she makes more money, she has an extravagant lifestyle. The hair, the nails, the massage. She didn't tell you about the personal chef or the maid that she has come clean the house every week.
So now it's making sense, okay.
And let alone the drinking problem that you have.
Drinking
The
problem.
weekly stops to the liquor store to have a curbside pickup. Come on now.
He's telling the truth, isn't he?
Well, after being in court
That
all
wasn't my
day,
question. He's telling the truth, isn't he?
I do like to have a cocktail now and then.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay. And you brought him to court
Yes.
for child support.
Yes, ma'am.
How much money do you make?
$70,000 a year. I make $100,000 less than she does.
But again, I pay for pretty much everything. The only thing he pays for the kids is the health insurance. Everything
Health
else.
insurance is pretty important. You'd agree with me, right?
It is, and I appreciate that. I do. But I don't want to pull my kids from private school or take them out of the things that they love to do because I can't afford it.
Or you could just, not hire a personal chef. You could stop drinking, and then maybe you could afford it. Maybe you wouldn't have to go to court to get more child support from somebody who's making $100,000 less than you. Also, I don't know why I keep saying child support, because from the sound of it, if she does end up getting more support, that money is never going to reach the children in any way, shape, or form, not in a million years. This woman's primary concern seems to be just getting her hair done, nails, makeup, and massages. I don't know how, as an attorney, she thought she could schedule this court hearing and think this would work in her favor. And I get that this mom is paying for more things, but the fact that the only reason she seems to be here in the first place is to get money to support a more luxurious lifestyle, it's just strange, let alone from someone who's making a lot less money than you. I don't know, it would be very different if you needed the extra support to actually take care of the kids and not for massages, liquor, and trips to the nail salon.
Don't say that again, because you can't afford it. You're getting your nails done, you're going on trips, you're doing all of these other things, especially going to the liquor store. Alcohol is not cheap. You can't afford it. You're just choosing to do something other than what you should be doing, which is taking care of these children. I'm assuming you don't live together anymore, right? How often are you all exchanging the children?
We have them equally, so that'll be 2 weekends a month.
All right, yeah. You came in here to waste my time. I am not going to make him pay you child support when you make $100,000 more than he does. What kind of lawyer are you? Never mind. So this is what we're going to do. I am going to do the child support calculations for the both of you and subtract it. And the difference is going to go to the person who makes more, which is you. So for mom, your gross is about $12,325.35. Dad, your gross is $5,833.33. Health insurance, you pay it, how much is it?
It's $100 a month.
Okay, you're gonna split that. So $50 for you, $50 for you. How many children? 2 children, right?
We have 3 children between us and 4 total.
3 children, 4 total. Who has the other child? Okay, thank you for telling me that, because that reduces your child support obligation and increases yours. So it comes out to $1,533 per month. And Mrs. Williams, that's what you're going to be ordered to pay to him. Any questions about that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have any questions about anything I just said?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing further, you all are dismissed.
You know, for being an attorney, this woman is not the sharpest tool in the shed. $1,533 per month? Talk about a backfire. I guess when you're this greedy and entitled as a person, that's going to surpass any logic or critical thinking ability, even for someone who should already know basic laws relating to child support. Next, we go to a bond hearing in Miami-Dade County, where the presiding judge is Gerald Klein. As he addresses the defendant, keep your eyes on the woman in the background, 24-year-old Nicole Babb. Babb's impromptu striptease gets some chuckles from just about everyone in the courtroom. Everyone, that is, except for the judge, the 84-year-old Klein, whose nickname is Fast Jerry because he moved through cases so quickly, appears unfazed by Babb's performance. Take another look. As Babb disrobes and takes her act to the floor, it's clear it'll take a little more than some full-on nudity to distract Judge Klein. Looks like after 40 years on the bench, Judge Klein has seen it all. Not even a round of applause from the spectators can distract him from the case at hand. After things calm down, Judge Klein is ready for the next defendant, who, of course, is
Nicole Babb.
Judge, that was a stripper.
She's still in court. Tell her I can bring her up and hold the garment. CJ, we'll hold the garment.
She's still here?
I got her right.
Judge,
Yes.
they said they can bring her up, they'll hold the garment on her this time.
the situation finally gets a smile out of the judge.
No, she's here, Judge. She's here. Yes, they're just gonna hold the Ferguson garment on her.
She's coming.
A newly clothed Babb, charged with identity theft, approaches the podium.
What's his status in the other matter?
5,000.
His five there. Are you homeless?
The defendant doesn't stick around to answer.
Not.
He's talking to you. He's talking to you.
No, I'm not. I don't want to stay here. No.
Miss Babb.
She doesn't want to stay, Judge. She wants to leave.
You're charged with criminal use of personal identity.
And with that, Judge Klein sets the bond, $5,000.
This is clearly the most shocking
Very much.
news we've ever gotten in this courtroom.
For 20 years, this Karen told this man he was the father of her son.
You say you have proof that Mr. Manser is Dylan's father to finally stop him running from his responsibility.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Elizabeth Sear of Southwest Missouri. She told Bill Manser he was the father to her child.
I didn't find out anything about the child until I was served with papers in 1995.
Neither Manser nor Sear disputes that in Southwest Missouri in 1992, they had some kind of sexual relationship.
But as far as intimacy, we was together one time, and I hate to be crude, but it was a one-night stand.
I don't care what your version was. I was far from a one-night stand.
Living across the street from each other?
Far from a one-night stand.
Regardless, she gave birth to a son, Dylan, in January 1993. A couple years later, Sarah ordered a paternity test. The test concluded that there was a 99.6% probability that Manser had fathered the boy. Manser moved to Lake County, Florida, and he was named the father because he missed a court date.
And so
And you
you
did
showed
that,
up
huh?
for court, and what
No,
happened?
I wasn't
No, he
able
didn't
to.
show
I wasn't
up.
able to show up for court. I was completely on the other side of the state. I was indigent. I was living at my mom's, didn't have a job at the time. So I didn't show up for court, and I was named the natural father by default.
And then what happened?
He ended up paying more than $30,000 in child support to Sear and spent 5 years in prison after failing to pay on time.
And then when I went to prison for 5 years. When I got out of prison in 2003, I paid child support from that day until just February of last year when I lost
Only
my job.
because they garnished your wages.
Absolutely, that's what they do. And I actually asked my public defender, where's the proof? I've yet to see proof that the child's mine. He said that they obtained my DNA through a sample that was already on file. That's what she's claimed
For a
this whole
daughter
time.
you didn't raise too.
So, that's right. I'm not here to win any Father of the Year awards, believe me.
You wouldn't get it.
So, but I'm here to say that, you know, in today's society, I think it's cruel and unusual punishment to be sentenced to 5 years in prison with rapists and murderers and child molesters for missing a court date. Because that's basically what happened. I missed a court date.
You missed being a father.
Sarah herself had good reason to believe the narrative. A paternity test she'd ordered from a lab concluded with near certainty that Manser was her baby daddy.
We do, however, see a lab record of a collection taken on May the 1st, 1995, which they claim was you. Ms. Sear, I see the laboratory results of the testing with a probability of paternity of 99.67%.
But he was never totally convinced Dylan was his son.
Do you know, man, that he said 99.67 means he still might not be the father when he heard that number?
On August 12, 2013, Manser, Elizabeth Sear, and her 20-year-old son, Dylan, submitted to new DNA tests at a California lab frequently used by the paternity court show. They appeared on the show on August 29th and got a rather different result.
I think it's time for the results.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Jerome, lab, because of the sensitivity of this issue, ran 2 tests. The results are as follows. In the case of Manser versus Sear, as it pertains to 20-year-old Dylan Sear, Mr. Manser, you are not
Oh, God.
his father.
Oh, man. 5 years in prison.
This is clearly the most shocking
Very much.
news we've ever gotten in this courtroom.
But the most shocking moment is yet to come. Listen to what this Karen is about to say.
Do you want to find out who your father is?
Of course.
Miss Sear, you know who his father is.
Yes, I talk to him still. Yes, I talk to him still.
You cannot stand there and really suggest that you cannot comprehend why this man would not have any type of ill feeling, frustration, or regret as it relates to anything involving you. 5 years in prison. And then I say, do you know who your son's father is? And you say, yes, I'm still in touch with him. That is a really huge pill to swallow.
Texas, for a civil hearing. 33-year-old Amanda Stiles and her ex-husband, Ryan Parnell, are in a child custody dispute. Parnell's attorney, Lacey Kimball, has filed several motions with the court, which include a request that Stiles take a drug test. Today, both parties appear remotely before Judge Drew Tenisa to review the motions. Stiles appears without an attorney.
Good morning. How are you all? Morning, how are you?
Morning.
Go ahead, Ms. Kimball.
A custody evaluation was completed, and so we have filed a motion for drug screening and a motion for a psychological exam based upon that custody evaluation recommendations.
Blah, 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 blah.
Stop talking.
Things get off to a rocky start.
You'll be able to respond in just a second. Ms. Kimball, you can go ahead and finish, and then Ms. Stiles, you'll have an opportunity to respond in just a minute.
The judge remains calm as Kimball continues.
We also had sent discovery out as laid out in our motion sometime back. We ultimately never got a response.
We got responses. Objection.
Hold on, wait a second. Ms. Stiles, you just need to object, and then let me know what your objection is. Don't yell at her.
Objection to hearsay.
Hold on.
Judge Tenike presses the mute button on Stiles, allowing Kimball to speak without interruption.
And then we have an order to compel Ms. Stiles to provide dates for a deposition.
All right, so Ms. Stiles, I'm sending you a prompt to unmute. If you just unmute yourself, you can respond.
Despite her disruptive behavior, the judge moves forward, attempting to get Stiles' responses to the 4 motions in question.
Do you have an objection to taking a drug test?
I use marijuana daily. All day, every day.
Okay.
So I will. I'm glad to take the drug test.
Stop.
Okay, go. It's going to be on his expense, but I'm
Stop. I'm pretty low key. We're in court. You need to be respectful. Just say Judge Tenike. Okay, it's pretty easy. So you use marijuana all day, every day.
not really all day, every day, but I use it daily, if that helps you with your interpretations. Mr. Low-Key Honorable Judge Tenike.
I'm not interpreting. I just said what you said.
Okay.
What is your response to the request for a psychological evaluation?
I'm not doing it, and you cannot force me to do it. You cannot physically make me go and show up and partake in anything that I do not want to partake in. Yes or no? Do you agree or not agree?
You don't get to ask me questions right now. What's your response to their motion to compel?
Have you read their discovery?
Ma'am, you need to answer my question.
I answered your question.
All right.
By now, even this low-key judge seems to be losing patience.
So I'm going to warn you that it is completely inappropriate to swear like that in court.
Stiles then pushes her camera away.
You need to take yourself, you need to put yourself back on camera. I'm gonna sanction you $100 for every time that you swear in court, because that's not appropriate. You just need to not do it.
Judge Tenike tries to get back on track.
In terms of the deposition dates, what's your response to that?
What dates?
Ms. Kimball, do you have proposed dates?
And whose expense? Mine? Because if it's mine, I'm not doing it. Sanction, give me $100 fee. Woo woo.
So I am finding you in direct contempt.
Okay, one fine.
Finding you $100.
Okay, make it 2. Damn. I said 2 words.
Ma'am, I don't think you want to do this. I will, as I said, sanction you.
Please do.
Before ending the hearing, the judge tries to get a deposition date on the books.
Which of those dates works better for you, Ms. Stiles?
What time? Donna. 3 contempts.
Correct, that is 3.
Supposed to start at 9 a.m.
What date?
That question is to you. Never
I
mind.
said what
I'm
time?
not gonna let
Time,
you
date? You know, these
I'm not
things.
gonna let you look. You don't get to do this for your own pocketbook. I'm muting you for. I'm going to count that as another violation.
Stiles was held in contempt and ordered to pay $400 in fines. As for the child custody case, Stiles later relinquished her rights to the child, including any visitation rights, and the father, Ryan Parnell, has full custody.
How can you imagine? She's his only son. No face. Can't even kiss him on the forehead. That's something I couldn't wrap my brain around. Because they had to see him on a metal slab.
This is Shayna Hubers. She is convicted of murder for shooting her boyfriend 6 times. Hubers appeared for her verdict hearing in the Campbell County Circuit Court in Newport, Kentucky. She was charged with 1 count of murder after shooting her boyfriend 6 times because he was about to leave her for a Miss USA contestant.
My name is Cicely Miller, and I was housed with Shannon Huber. It's like, man, girl, what'd you do? What happened? And so she was like, well, I shot my boyfriend. I said, did you kill him? She goes, yeah. She goes, I shot him in the face. I gave him those job he always wanted. And she cackled. She was like, and just had this cackle, and it just went right through me.
In 2011, 28-year-old Ryan Poston met Shayna Hubers, a psychology student at the University of Kentucky, through his step-cousin on Facebook. They hit it off and began dating. But their relationship was marked by passionate reunions and tumultuous breakups over 18 months. By October 12, 2012, their relationship reached a breaking point. Ryan, 29-year-old at the time, had plans for a date with Miss Ohio USA 2012, Audrey Bolte, a meeting that would never happen.
I believe Shannon just knew it was over. You know, that this was the last straw. He was done with her, and you're out of here. And she wasn't having that. You don't turn your back and say no to her.
During the trial, Audrey Bolte testified for the prosecution, describing her interactions with Ryan in detail.
For some help in a review of some movies that were going on at the time, and he had replied to one of them and left a funny, interesting comment.
How did he strike you?
Funny and smart.
Shayna discovered his plans with Audrey through Facebook messages, which ignited a rage of jealousy and desperation in her.
I got up off the floor, and I grabbed the gun, and I shot him.
Shayna maintained that the incident was an act of self-defense. However, in the courtroom, the prosecution, led by Michelle Snodgrass, argued otherwise. They contended that Shayna's actions on that fateful October night were not self-defense, but the result of a relationship she couldn't bear to see end. They painted a picture of a premeditated act driven by jealousy and obsession.
So for 3 more times, she raises the gun and fires into Ryan Poston's twitching body until she fired the final shot where she knew it would kill him.
She picked up the gun, in fact.
What would you do if I shot you?
The defense, however, stood firm on the assertion that Shayna was a victim, not a perpetrator. They contended that she had acted in self-defense after enduring an abusive relationship with Ryan.
Degrading her own self-worth. I can't love you. No one can love you. You can't orgasm because you were touched as a child, and no one will ever love you.
Looking back on it, I feel like I was led on. I feel like I was manipulated, used, and abused.
However, the jury was swayed by the prosecution's argument and recommended a severe punishment of 40 years in prison. Hubers' legal team sought a new trial, arguing that evidence supporting her self-defense claim had been unfairly excluded. They also petitioned for her to be recognized as a victim of domestic violence, which could reduce her time served before parole eligibility. Despite these efforts, the jury still handed a guilty verdict.
But I listened to everything that was said in here. I never heard a word or a look that said, I'm sorry to these people back here.
Just once to hear the words, I shouldn't have done that.
As the jury read the verdict, Shayna Hubers broke down in tears.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Shayna Hubers, guilty of murder under instruction number 5.
Hubers was sentenced to 40 years with the possibility of parole after serving 20 years.
It's certainly not justice, no, because justice in this case can't be given in court.
I don't believe Shayna has learned her lesson. And if she was to get out on parole, I believe she would find another victim. If it was up to me, Shayna would rot in a cell like this. So Ryan's family can have justice, as she would never see the light of day outside of the jail cell.
A court case near Detroit sounds like a romantic comedy gone wrong.
Yeah, a woman sues a man for thousands of dollars after he stood her up on a date.
This is Kashante Short. She sued a man for standing her up.
She's suing a guy for $10,000 for standing her up on a date.
I never knew that it was even an offense. But on September 10, 2020, Kashante Short filed a $10,000 lawsuit in Michigan's 67th District Court of Genesee County against a man who didn't show up for their date. She claimed that the no-show caused her emotional distress because the date coincided with her late mother's birthday. During a 9-minute virtual court hearing via Zoom, Judge Herman Marable Jr. informed Short that she had filed the lawsuit in the wrong court and that it should have been filed in circuit court. The judge then asked the defendant if he would be representing himself. The defendant expressed surprise at the lawsuit.
To be honest with you, sir, I thought this was just going to be thrown out. We had a date, one date, and nothing else after that. And now I'm being sued for $10,000. I don't really see how this is going to go any further. I think it's a waste of your time.
Judge Marable explained that if the defendant believed the case should be dismissed, he needed to file a motion to dismiss it. Short then interrupted, accusing the defendant of lying and claiming her documents would prove it. The judge attempted to explain the concept of perjury to her, which led to a heated exchange.
If he responds and his response is a lie, it's perjury, then my documents will prove that he lied in his response.
No. It's a false statement made on
Are we done here? Are we done here?
I
Please
said
do
no.
not insult my intelligence.
I said no.
Do not do that. Do not do that.
As the argument escalated, the judge removed his face shield and repeatedly instructed Short to be quiet. The video showed the defendant visibly distressed, holding his head in his hands.
You need to be quiet while I'm talking. You need to be quiet. Can you mute her, please?
I feel for the defendant. I mean, like I said, he should have swiped left.
Short insisted that the case be sent to circuit court, and Judge Marable eventually muted the Zoom call and transferred the suit to the 7th Circuit Court.
The bottom line is you don't have to show up on a date, and it's not a cause of action under the law. It's not an intentional infliction of emotional distress, just to be legal about it, because it's kind of a funny case, except if you look at the expression on the poor guy's face when her and the judge are going at it, he's like, oh my God, get me out of here. You can just see it. But you have to be such outrageous and wanton conduct that no reasonable person could possibly expect that you would do this. And if we were going to criminalize that or civil liabilityize that, we'd have thousands and tens of thousands of suits. Bottom line, you have a right not to show up on your date.
According to court records, this was not the first time Short had filed lawsuits that were dismissed. She had filed at least a dozen suits in both district and circuit courts over the past 2 decades. In January 2020, she filed a $300 million suit against the Flint Police Department, which was dismissed. She also filed a lawsuit against AT&T in October 2020 in Wisconsin, which was dismissed after she failed to appear in court.
I think he's going to get some good dates off of his patience in dealing with this. So, maybe he could use a bad moment for some good.
This is Mitchell Blair. She is about to receive the ultimate punishment at Wayne County Circuit Court. The 35-year-old Michelle Blair is facing charges of first-degree murder for the death of her daughter and felony murder for the death of her son. In 2015, an ordinary day in Detroit's Martin Park neighborhood turned into a nightmare. On a routine March morning, bailiffs arrived at Michelle Blair's townhouse for an eviction and made a shocking discovery. As they removed the furniture, a strong smell hinted at something sinister. Their search led them to a white freezer in the corner of the room. Opening it, they found the frozen remains of a child wrapped in a blanket. Further inspection revealed another child's body, similarly hidden. The victims were later identified as Blair's children, 13-year-old Stoney Blair and her 9-year-old brother, Stephen Barry. Mitchell Blair was arrested and taken to court. Throughout the hearings, Blair showed no remorse and boldly admitted to killing her children before the judge.
I intentionally killed her.
I don't feel no remorse for the death of them demons.
Keep in mind, these were her kids she was talking about.
Why did you take the decision to pile the bodies on top of each other in a freezer?
What do you mean?
Why did you do that?
Well, I only had one deep freezer. You mean take the decision to pile the bodies on top of each other? Where was she gonna go?
How did you conceivably sleep at night?
I slept well.
And you feel no remorse for that?
I would kill him again.
Throughout the trial, Blair maintained that she killed her children, Stephen and Stoney, after discovering they were sexually assaulting her youngest son. However, no evidence was ever found to support her accusations. During Blair's sentencing, Judge Dana Hathaway had a few words to say before passing her judgment.
It's the greatest tragedy here is that they will never know what a life is like without experiencing fearing their mother. They will never know the joy of what could have been in their life without having you in it. They lived in terrible fear of you. And I find that just so sad in this case.
With that, the judge handed down her sentence.
After all is said and done, you imposed the death penalty on your own children.
I did.
And you readily admit it, and you want to take responsibility of it. You're therefore sentenced to the Michigan Department of Corrections for the rest of your life without the possibility of parole, meaning, of course, that you will never get out.
While the sentence was being handed down, Mitchell Blair's face was stoic, showing absolutely no remorse. Mitchell Blair is currently in prison, where she will remain for the rest of her life.
Can you talk me through the type of abuse that you had to suffer as a kid?
You mean sexual abuse?
If that's what happened.
That definitely did happen to me. That's why I know exactly how would have grew up. I told my mother what happened to me. And the only thing she said was, it's over with, so what the you want me to do about it? What do you mean what I want you to do? You get what I'm saying? So all I could do is go back and sit in my room and just sit there and look stupid. I'm a kid. And I'm just telling you what happened to me. You didn't do about it. And plus I still had to see the person coming in and out my house. You still friends with that person.
So do you believe that the violent person you went on to become you were a product of your own childhood?
I mean, everybody have choices, so I can't just blame all that on my mom because I was still an adult. Maybe I should have tried hard to get over that. But anybody who knows me, that touching the kids, the molesting, that no. If that's one thing I definitely would have killed over, it would have always been that.
I've caused them a lot of pain. I've caused my family a lot of pain. And I think that by asking for death, I'm only going to cause more pain to my family.
This is Jodi Arias. Her trial at the Maricopa County Superior Court was one of the most sensationalized court cases in recent history. It was marked by numerous bizarre and shocking moments. Arias was charged with the brutal murder of her ex-boyfriend, Travis Alexander, in 2008. Her trial, which began in January 2013, captivated the nation with its lurid details and dramatic courtroom antics.
Did he ever ejaculate on your face?
No.
In a courtroom packed with spectators and media personnel, all eager to witness the unfolding of a case that had already gripped the nation, the prosecution, Juan Martinez, painted a picture of premeditated murder, arguing that Jodi had planned the killing of Travis Alexander in a fit of jealousy and rage. After discovering he intended to take another woman to Cancun,
she slit his throat, she stabbed him in the heart, and we also know that she shot him. There are 3 different ways that she killed him.
The evidence presented was damning. The prosecution showcased a digital camera found in Travis's washing machine, containing images that placed Jodi at the crime scene. The photos, time-stamped on the day of the murder, included shots of Travis in the shower moments before his death, followed by disturbingly blurred images that suggested a struggle. The jury was shown the recovered, deleted photos, which became a silent testimony to the brutality of the crime.
They go to Travis's room and the door is locked. The roommate goes and gets the key, and as the doors are cast open, they're hit with this putrid smell. And they open up the door and the light shining from the bathroom is reflecting off a blood pool on the carpet. And the roommate and one of the friends goes in and they follow this path of bloody footprints up into the shower where they see their friend lying there dead.
In court, she tried to play the victim, and the prosecutor was having none of it.
I don't know. I was trying to kill myself, I think.
Ma'am, you've said that many times.
Further evidence included a bloody palm print belonging to Jodi, intermingled with Travis's blood, found in the hallway of his home. There were also receipts for a gas can purchase, indicating Jodi's attempt to avoid detection on her road trip to Mesa, and rental car agreement for a vehicle used during the time of the murder, which had its floor mats missing and had been cleaned thoroughly before its return, as the prosecution laid out its case. Jodi's behavior in court became a spectacle in itself. She appeared to oscillate between a range of emotions, from tearful breakdowns during graphic testimony
I just couldn't believe what had happened, that I couldn't take anything back, what had just happened.
to a cold, almost detached demeanor when evidence was presented. Her reactions were unpredictable, at times shaking her head in disbelief or smiling at seemingly inappropriate moments. The defense, led by attorney Kirk Nermi, sought to counter the prosecution's narrative by introducing the concept of self-defense. They portrayed Travis as a manipulative individual who had emotionally and physically abused Jodi, pushing her to a breaking point. The defense argued that on the day of the murder, Jodi had killed Travis in a desperate act of self-preservation. Jodi took the stand in her own defense, a move that would result in 18 days of testimony, a marathon session that would become one of the longest in the history of American criminal trials. Her testimony was a mix of soft-spoken recollections and startling admissions. She recounted the details of her relationship with Travis, alleging abuse and a pattern of sexual exploitation.
He said, kill you, bitch. He body slammed me again on the tile.
Throughout her time on the stand, Jodi's demeanor was scrutinized. Her calm and collected recounting of events contrasted sharply with the emotional breakdowns she exhibited when confronted with the more gruesome aspects of the crime. The jury watched as she attempted to portray herself as a victim.
I believe so.
Well, no. Do you remember previously talking to us about how he was coming at you and he was this horrible man with his mean face? Do you remember telling me that?
Thankfully, the judge could see through her facade and gave her a life sentence.
State of Arizona versus Jodi Arias, verdict, count 1. Let's do find the defendant as to count 1, first-degree murder, guilty.
This is Shanda Vander Ark. She was found guilty of open murder and first-degree child abuse for the death of her 15-year-old son, Timothy Ferguson. Back in July 2022, police responded to the family home in Norton Shores and found Timothy dead. Officers said Timothy was emaciated and weighed only 69 pounds. His body also showed signs of hypothermia. Timothy had autism and was speech and motor impaired. Yet Vander Ark and her older son, Paul Ferguson, punished Timothy by feeding him hot sauce, putting him in ice baths for hours, depriving him of sleep, and locking the refrigerator and food cabinets. When shown photos of her emaciated, disabled son, who she starved and murdered, this was Vander Ark's reaction.
Look like that when you put in the bathtub?
I'm sorry.
Muskegon County Prosecutor DJ Hilson called the situation the most disturbing case he has seen in his career. Two of Vander Ark's children spoke at the sentencing.
I want the woman who killed my little brother to face the highest punishment possible. I want her detained for the rest of her life so she can't hurt anyone else.
So now I turn to the justice system in hopes that in addition to serving the maximum penalty, that there will be no appeals or second chances. If I can't have my brother back, she shouldn't have her freedom back.
Judge Matthew Castle then spoke directly to Vander Ark before he read her sentence.
I'm not going to let you hide in the darkness anymore. People know what you are now. They know what you did. You're not able to hide in the darkness anymore. Timothy won. And he won because we know what you did to him now. It's not hidden anymore. We know who you are. That's the way that I'm going to honor him. It's a sentence of the court. First as to count 2, child abuse in the first degree. Court sentences you 50 years to 100 years in prison. As to count 1, felony murder. It's a sentence of the court. You serve a term within the Michigan Department of Corrections for the rest of your natural life without parole.
This is Camia Gamut, who is charged with the murder of her boyfriend in Jackson, Mississippi. Reportedly, the attack happened during an argument between the two individuals and ended with a boyfriend being violently stabbed to death. Gamut was arrested on first-degree murder charges. Throughout the trial, Gamut claimed she acted in self-defense and showed no remorse, even when the victim's family members addressed the court during the sentencing hearing.
I remember the cries of help that he screamed as you plunged that knife in and out of his body.
We have no choice but to send her where she will also die. I can't believe she stands before you doing this.
While the victim's family members spoke, Gamut rolled her eyes, smirked, and mouthed words. However, Judge John McBain would not tolerate her behavior.
And you're gonna shut your mouth or I'm gonna have some duct tape put on it.
But that didn't end it. Camille Gamut's nonchalant attitude only escalated as she addressed the court.
The way I was portrayed, mostly everything was lies. There was a little bit of truth, but mostly I was convicted off of lies.
With Gamut showing no remorse, the judge had some final words.
You stab, you stab, you stab, you stab until he was dead. I agree with the family. I hope you die in prison as well. You know, and if this was a death penalty state, you'd be getting the chair.
In the end, Gamut was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.